The New York Knicks will make the 2024 NBA Finals. That doesn't sound like a real sentence, but that's what ESPN's Bobby Marks said just a few days ago, previewing the Suns and Knicks game on November 26th as an early season finals matchup. At first glance, picking the Knicks for the finals sounds stupid. I mean, it's the Knicks for goodness sake, but when you take a step back and you really break it down, it's not as dumb as it sounds. I mean, the Knicks were only 2 games away from an ECF berth with Julius Randle playing like Casper the Ghost, so maybe it's more possible than we think. Could they actually do it? How's it going, my friend? I'm Alexander from Load Management Media, and let's talk about whether the New York Knicks making the finals is a completely left field pick, or whether Bobby Marks was actually onto something. Last season, the Knicks finished with a 47-35 record, which was good for 5th in the East, and they were only 2 games away from the ECF after losing to the Miami Heat in 6 games. So when you think about it, they weren't that far away in theory. But to make the ECF is another hurdle, and then the finals is another step on top of that. So maybe they weren't as close as it seemed, but they still had a fantastic year regardless, and they overachieved. But there were definitely some things that went wrong for the Knicks in the playoffs. A huge problem for the Knicks last playoffs was, well, Julius Randle. If you could boil it down to one thing, it would be how questionable he was in every series. Unfortunately for the Knicks, supposedly their best player has disappeared in the last 3 playoff series he's played in. When that happens, it's hard to overcome. And although Julius was pretty bad, it was the whole team that just could not score to save their life, especially in that second round series. Really, it was only Brunson who was fantastic and RJ Barrett who got buckets. Everyone else was supremely inconsistent. This meant their 3-point shooting as well was also non-existent, which didn't help. On the bright side though, their defense was pretty good all playoffs long. So the Knicks were pretty good last year overall, but do they have the pieces this year to make that same run or go even further? The Knicks roster this year is practically the exact same one as last year, but on paper, they have one of the best rosters in the NBA in my opinion. The Knicks lost Obi Toppin and gained Donte DiVincenzo, 2 moves that I think were pretty smart. Obi really wasn't getting the opportunity he deserved, so I think it was about time for him to move on. And Donte DiVincenzo is just another versatile piece who does damn near everything right on the basketball court. They also lost D Rose to Memphis, which was about damn time, but they'll miss him in the locker room for sure. A probable starting lineup of Jalen Brunson, Grimes or Josh Hart, RJ Barrett, Randle, and Mitchell Robinson has everything you need. A floor general, a solid amount of shooting and shot creation, perimeter and interior defense, as well as high-level rebounding. The bench is strong as well. Of course, you've got IQ, but I do think they would benefit with adding an extra power forward or a bigger wing to combat all the smaller wings and guards that they do have. More importantly though, with the Knicks, their roster is super young top to bottom in the best way possible. All of their key players are either heading into their prime or are under 25 years old, meaning we could see a noticeable leap from 2 or 3 of these guys. Overall, they have a really good team that could do super well in the regular season. So how do the Knicks shape up versus the rest of the East? Honestly, the Knicks fare better in the East than I initially thought. The big 3 in the East lately have been Milwaukee, Miami, and Boston. As for Milwaukee, I think they'll have a strong year, but they have lost a bit of depth and the roster is getting older. Giannis will want revenge though, so I see this as the last strong year they have with this core. Boston on paper has the best roster in the league, but they've lost their heart and soul Marcus Smart in favor of the more talented but injury-prone Porzingis. So who knows how that's going to go. Miami are the reigning ECF champs, but they've lost a few key pieces. Unless they get Dame, who knows what the hell's going on there. I don't think they'll be as good, but you can never count Miami out, as we've seen time and time and time again. Philly seems to be past their best. The Cavs could be real nice this year and might sneak in there, and I do expect some teams like Indiana, Brooklyn, and Orlando to give a fight or two. But in all honesty, the East is wide open. So can the Knicks actually make the finals? Honestly, I would not bet my money on it, but at the same time, I wouldn't be utterly surprised either. The Knicks have a great roster with some young exciting guys that all have decent playoff experience under their belt. They've bolstered up in some areas and I expect them to make 1 or 2 more moves before the season starts. But ultimately, It comes down to if Julius Randle will remember how to play basketball in the playoffs or not. If he can at least be not historically awful, I think the Knicks will have a good shot. Because with their defense, star point guard, and young talent they have, they could be pretty damn tough to handle. The East is as wide open as ever. I say, why not? At this moment, I'd give them top 3 odds. So in reality, Mr. Bobby Marks, you aren't as in the dark as it may have seemed. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed. If you enjoy consistent original NBA content, then this is the place for you. I'll be putting out at least one new piece of NBA content a week, so if that interests you, consider hitting a like and a sub. And as always, stay rested. See you in the next one.